Hi, everyone, and welcome to Career Pivots and Second Acts, the ultimate telesummit for your mid career transition. I'm your host, Tajan Braithwaite Renderis, and it's an honor for me to host this career summit for you. So, I want to make sure that you're in the right place. So, if you've been feeling like you're stuck in a rut, you feel like you're in a job where you're not really maximizing your potential, you're not being valued, you're underpaid, you feel like you're on a rat race, the hours just don't work for you and your lifestyle, and you really want to change, you want something new, you want something different, but it's such a huge change that it feels really hard for you to do. Feels like the kind of transformation that like you don't even know where to start. You know, you want it to change, you wish it could magically change, but you just don't know where to start. Then this is the place for you. Why? Because I created this summit and I pulled together career coaches and life coaches, organizational coaches to come together all in the spirit of helping you, somebody who wants to transition and doesn't know how, get the information, the wisdom, the tools, and the freebies to get that done, right? So 5 days, each day we're going to be having two different coaches teaching on a particular topic. You can reference a detailed agenda on the webpage so you can get a sense of what we're going to be covering for the entirety of the summit. Today, particularly, we're going to be talking about how you can actually figure out what your professional calling is and how you can start pursuing it right away. Because for a lot of people, so we're going to start at the beginning, and basically we're going to get into all the minutiae from how do you optimize your LinkedIn? How do you job search as a mid-career professional who's transitioning? How do you network? How do you handle interviewing? How do you make sure that whatever career pivot or career transition you take, that you're not building yourself a new prison? So if it's entrepreneurship, how do you ensure that you're not creating a new awful situation, right? Because so many people, sometimes that happens. So we're going to be going through all of that from the very big picture of like, I know I hate this job, I don't know what I want to do, to all the minutiae around all the tools and techniques that you need, all the strategies to job search, resume writing, etc., to finally how do you show up in this new career as a different person. All of that is going to be covered in the summit. So I am grateful that you're here and that you're joining us. Join us for this ride. Grab your notebooks, close down everything else, and just focus so that you can get as much as you can possibly get from this summit. Now, we're in a whole new world right now, and new career options are opening before our minds can map to them. You know, there was a recent study out of Oxford University that said 50% of jobs will be obsolete by 2025. So that means that following your parents' guidance, your spouse's guidance, and others' guidance around expectations and basing your decisions on that information is outdated guidance, right? So what is right for you, the career pivot that you may need to be making, probably doesn't have a name yet. The age of cookie cutter careers is gone. No two paths to finding your purpose are the same, but the patterns to get there are very similar. And that's what we're going to be diving in today. How do you follow the pattern and follow the path to figure out what that next thing is for you? Now, what I want to remind you guys is that really the pain of not following your professional calling is worse than trying and failing. Far too often, we stay in a job that we don't like for much longer than we need to. And I'll just quickly tell you my story. So, I started as a public health consultant, spent a lot of time doing it, and still do love and appreciate the field of public health. But I knew that there was more for me to do. I knew that my skills, my talents, my natural genius was not being fully utilized in that profession. Now, when I was 14 years old, there would have been nobody who could have said to me, geez, Tajan, based on your skills and based on your interests and based on your gifts, you should be a career coach. You should be a life coach. That's really what you should be. There was no such thing as a life coach. So what I'm trying to hone in on is, for many of you, a lot of what you're wanting to do may not have a name yet, right? And so nobody can really provide you guidance into something that we don't have a label yet for. And far too often, what can happen for a lot of people is they may start out being frustrated at this job that they don't like. And that frustration turns to like, really, I'm frustrated. I really hate this. And it kind of graduates into, I hate this. And if somebody talks to me at work, I'm going to snap at them. I'm going to snap at this one and snap at that one. So the pain of not following your professional calling is way worse than trying and failing. And you can end job suffering and you can thrive in your professional calling, right? But you do have to take massive action. It's a big transformation. You do have to take massive action. And with all suffering, whether it's job suffering, relationship suffering, there comes a window of opportunity where you get to a decision point where you say, not another day, not another minute, not another second will I suffer in this relationship, in this job. No more. I'm done. I quit. If you leap through that window, transformation is possible for you. If you allow a limiting belief to hold you back, you're not going to be able to transform. The window closes. And then you lose that opportunity. And then another month passes, and another year passes, and another decade passes. And you miss another window of opportunity to make a significant transformation. If you take anything from this session today, what I want you to take home is that have a really low tolerance for suffering. The suffering that you feel around your job is an indication that you need to pay attention inward now and change something, right? So I want to walk through 3 steps that you can take to really figure out what that professional calling is. You want to change, you want to do something different. How do you figure out what that something different is so that you can really trust that decision and be confident in that decision that you're making? The first step is really to get clear on your motivation. What is your motivation to pursue your professional calling now? You will need that, right? You will need that when the going gets rough, when the decision that you're making isn't so straightforward and clear and the road gets rocky. You'll need to hang on to that motivation. You'll need to know what your why is to sustain your momentum and keep you going when you feel like giving up. So that's really important. The second step is to get still until clarity arrives. So for a lot of people, you know what you don't want, but you don't know what you do want. So you hate your job, you hate writing, these crappy reports, you hate all aspects of it. You know what you don't want, but you don't know what you do want. And the only way you can figure out what you do want is to get still. Now, oftentimes we live in a society where it's not that easy for us to get still. And I have found in my work, working with men and women around life coaching and career coaching, is that it really does take most of my clients retreating from their lives entirely to get the clarity that they need. Because what really needs to come up for most of them is enough space to allow a feeling of yearning. And for that yearning to eventually take shape into what is your mission, into what is your professional calling. And if you can't get still in your current environment, if it's really just not possible, then what I recommend for my clients and what I offer for a lot of my clients is a guided retreat process to allow the space that you need for that kind of soul searching, for the yearning to emerge and for it to take shape into what your next steps really are. So that is the second step. The first step is find out your why, find out what your motivation is. Hold on to that. The second step is really to get still until clarity arrives, until you really have a clear sense as to what the what is, right? And then the third step, which is getting a little bit deeper into how you figure out what is to let your instinct and intuition guide you. Now, instinct and intuition guides all animals, right? It's the internal compass that leads a turtle to swim miles south to lay eggs in Tobago. And we, just like turtles, are animals too, right? Many of us are thinking that, well, intuition is doing without thinking, ignoring our heads and following our hearts. But neurologically speaking, it's a lot more complicated than that, right? It really involves predicting rewards and acting without conscious thought. So the ability to make decisions seemingly without thinking, like deciding to put one foot in front of the other while you're walking, is the same ability that takes over when your mind is overwhelmed with information. So what happens is, in the absence of hard evidence to push you towards a clear yes or a clear no, your mind tries to take everything you know that's relevant to the situation and boil it down to a single sensation. And everything you know includes not just what's right in front of you, but a lifetime of accumulated wisdom. Prior experiences, advice you've gotten, outcomes of past decisions, all of that boils down. And what it boils down to is a single sensation. And that sensation is what some people call your gut. Like, my gut just tells me that this is wrong. But really, what you're using is instinct and intuition. Let that be your guide. And here's an action step you can take today, okay, to do this after you've shut down this video and you're practicing at home. Here's a clear action step that you can take. Try on the decision by which what I'm saying is, picture yourself making a choice and then pay close attention to your physiological reaction. Pay attention to whether the physical sensation is contractive or expansive, right? Any contracting energy, any deadening energy, any anxiety points towards a wrong decision. And expansive nervousness points toward a correct decision, right? Similar to like jumping in a plane. You might feel really expansive, but really nervous at the same time. That is usually an indication of you actually moving in the right direction. Because quite often, when we're making a bold move, like a career transition, you've been in the tech industry for years and now you want to be a musician full time and you're scared. Usually what happens is, wow, when you consider the decision, it's like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing if I could be a musician full time. And it's juicy and it's lovely and it's awesome. And right immediately after comes the nervousness. Oh, but then how am I gonna pay my bills? How am I gonna pay rent? I have a car loan. I have kids to feed. I have et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the energy starts to get really nervous and fearsome. And if you allow that to continue, even paralyzing. This is why, for most of my clients, retreat is important. And not just that, but supportive community is crucial. Because left to your own mind, that level of nervousness and fear and anxiety amplifies, paralyzes you, and leaves you stuck in the same position. Which is why you can see some people stuck in a bad relationship year after year after year after year. They know it's bad, but they've taught themselves out of it. And that kind of paralysis can really beleaguer people. So I know what you're thinking. How can I trust my gut, Tajan? How can I just trust that? Well, the way to trust your gut is first to acknowledge that we do live in a culture that stamps out our intuition, right? And our instincts because of how regimented our education system is. And then you marry that to societal expectations from your parents and so on, right? So really what's important is first to acknowledge that, listen, we've lived in a culture that has tried to snap that out of us. And the second part is to actually believe that every single part of you, every cell in you is intelligent in your body, right? You know, when I'm hungry, I don't need to guess that. My body tells me when I'm hungry. When there's a scary situation, when there's somebody that, I really probably shouldn't trust, my gut tells me, right? And so what I'm asking for you to do is really trust the intelligence of your body. Trust the intelligence that you already possess, right? We've been given all of these things to make intelligent decisions, all right? So use it, trust it. You use it for some things, trust it in everything. Now, another thing to consider here, guys, is when you're making a really big professional transition, a big career transition, or a career pivot within the same industry, if eating the crap sandwich that comes as part of your dream job still leaves your gut saying yes, then it's a real yes. Because the thing is, there's a crap sandwich with every job. There are aspects of every job that we don't like, right? Even for career coaches, right? There may be some career coaches that really shine in resume writing, but they don't like handling salary negotiation with their clients. So each of us has some aspects of our job, even if it's your dream job, that you don't like. So if you've considered and try on this job and you still love it, then that's how you know it's a job for you. If it's still a yes for you, then that's an indication that you're going on the right path. Now, the good thing about where you are now is that there's several stages that you'll go through, right? That I like to liken to the metamorphosis of a caterpillar. Where first you go through a breakdown phase and a breakthrough phase and an integration phase. For many of you now on this summit and listening in, there's a point that you've gotten to where the way you've been living your life anymore just doesn't work. And there's a pull that you feel to do something else that's different. And oftentimes that is a period of utter confusion. And that is really a breakdown period. And that can last a while before there's clarity. But there's some clarity that will come. And that clarity that does come is when you get your breakthrough. Now, the way to ensure that that change that wants to happen doesn't stall is to decide and then take action. Decide. And what I mean by that is stop wishing, stop wanting, decide that what you've been doing, this tech job that you just don't like, you're not going to be doing it anymore. And you've made a decision and now you're taking action. That is the way to ensure that the change happens, folks. It sounds simple, but that's it. The good news is that you don't have to go it alone. And as I've said before, is that really with career discovery, you need the support and accountability from a tribe of people that gets you. Sometimes people can do career discovery processes and actually come out with the wrong answers. It's possible for you to make a career pivot and a career transition into the wrong thing. Why? Because oftentimes a lot of people are still mired by fear, are still mired by societal expectations. I've worked with a client once who really hated his job, wanted to do something different, and he ended up doing something different. And we stopped coaching, but he ended up doing something different that just made him money. So he let his own fear about the money factor guide his decisions. And then he ended up hating it and ended up needing to kind of do another pivot and another transition again. So the reason why career discovery is really hard to do on your own is because you can't trust your own mind. And some of us have been so steeped in our fears that we actually can't distinguish our fear from the truth of who we are. It's really hard to make that distinction sometimes when you're stuck in your own limiting beliefs. And so having a coach, and better yet, a tribe of people who are challenging your own assumptions, reminding you of your fears, challenging your fears, and presenting you with different ways of being is really crucial and is not to be understated. Because oftentimes without that, you can go off and switch into something else that isn't even really for you, And we don't want to do that. We don't want to waste the time, money, or energy with us recreating a new prison or recreating a scenario that's actually bad for you. So, do you see how easy it can be to find your calling once you have a rigorous inquiry process within a supportive environment? It can be done. And what my intention for creating this career summit was really to provide you with all of these 9 experts who are really teaching from their core genius. I believe that, although we may call ourselves career coaches and that, it might seem like we're generalists, I think in general, most career coaches have a specific area of genius that they're particularly known for. So I believe in the whole Power Ranger concept of like bringing the yellow one in and the red one in and the orange one in and the green one in to build this massive, amazing Power Ranger that is greater than the sum of its parts. And that is what I've done with this summit here. So you're going to be getting from us everything from how to figure out how to pursue your calling to how to optimize your LinkedIn and handle your job search and handle all of the minutiae and to how to really show up differently. So with that, I'm going to just quickly summarize what we've covered today. So today, really, the purpose of this session was first to give you a taste as to what is involved with actually getting clarity on what your calling is and pursuing it now. And so really the first step is to get still. And if you can't get still, make sure that you're in an environment with a guided professional that will help you get still until clarity arrives. I gave you some action steps specifically around trying on your decision and making sure that you're letting your intuition and your instincts guide you. Remembering that for many of us, the kind of career pivot that we might be wanting to make, especially if that's into entrepreneurship, may not be a cookie cutter career, may not be doctor, lawyer, accountant, right? It might be something very different. And so allowing your instinct and intuition to guide you to some extent is really crucial. Understanding that, you don't have to go it alone. That in fact, with many of these transitions, you really do need the support of an expert, of several experts, and of people who really won't give force to your fears. And of course, remembering your why, remembering what your motivation is. So is it, I'm really motivated because I have kids and I want to spend more time with them. I want time freedom. Remembering what your why is also really important. And with that is it for now. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for this very first session of the Career Summit. I welcome your feedback. Be sure to join us in the Facebook discussion group. We've created that Facebook discussion group for not only the career coaches to come on and have an office hour, which would give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have of me, of the other career coaches, based on wherever you are in your career transformation journey. We're here to support you. And I want us to be as interactive as a community as we can. So I welcome your thoughts, your questions, your ideas, and join us in the Facebook discussion group for our office hours. Stay tuned to your emails so you can find out when each session is going to be dropped and get the details around what each of the speakers are going to be covering, what kind of freebies they're offering, and all that good stuff. So with that, thank you, and I'll catch you on the next session. Bye.